Whoa, how about that camera? That's better. Good morning, everybody. A little technical difficulties, but a little bit of a difficulty this morning. So let me turn this on, make sure that I'm getting audience. So what happened was, good. I set up an event. That was rude of me. I beg your pardon. I set up an event on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. Last time I did a stream, it said, "Hey, would you like to set up an event so people will be notified when you're going to be streaming?" And I was like, "Sure, that'd be awesome." And I figured it would just use the same setup that I did the last time, but apparently that was not the case. And so what happened was Facebook said, "Oh, you're going to do a live stream. Let's do it." So I went into the live stream thing, and it like chose to use my camera instead of my normal. I have a streaming key that I use because I stream through what's called OBS software, and because of that, it did not work the way it was supposed to. And I had to go and switch it. So it took me a little extra time. So I'm a little late jumping in here. And now I'm just trying to get everything all sorted out and turned on and moved over so I can see comments. And I have to like silence myself on here. There we go. So if you've watched my stream, you know that I set up all the screens on my computer here so that I can see questions, comments, whatever that come in from you all when you're watching. And it takes me a minute to set that up. I don't normally do that right before I get on stream. I try to. But today, because I had to jump through some different hoops on that Facebook thing, I'm not going to use that anymore. Because it was just schedule your Facebook Live thing so people will know. It's not worth it for me. I mean, I could see where it's useful for some people, but for me, it really wasn't that big a deal. But I think we're all up and running now. I actually fixed a problem with my Twitch where it kept spamming my welcome to the chat room messages and things like that. So yeah, so we are live. So if you want to check me out on a different channel than what you maybe are watching right now, if you look right down here at the bottom, right across there. See all those things down there? Right across there, right there, somewhere down there. Yeah, it gives the addresses of the different platforms I'm on. And those would be Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. Sorry, my brain's a little, I hate it when I get knocked off schedule a little bit because it kind of throws me out of my rhythm a little bit, but that's okay. We are going to recover and then do a whole lot of nothing today. Today is as the title of the blogs or of the video says, today is really a mixed bag of nuts. I don't have any projects that I'm currently like building. So I need to, I'm going to talk about a project that I kind of was in the middle of and went a little sideways on me. And then I'm going to see if there's a way for me to figure out how to fix it, because I've already invested a lot into it and there's a lot of money sitting on the table here. If I can get a fix for it, it'll be nice for me because it'll be nice and profitable, but I don't know if I can. So I need to figure this out. And it's something that I'm not sure how it happened or why it happened. Well, I kind of know why, but we're going to look at it and see. So we'll get to that in a minute. What else is going on today? So last stream would be Monday. We did this. What was Monday? So today is the 28th. So that was on the 26th. The 28th today. This is the utensil holder that we made for my son's girlfriend. And it turned out really, really nice. Let me switch a camera here and see if we can get a nice view of it. Look at how lovely that turned out. I mean, it's really nice. Now, the last week on the stream, what we did was we rounded all the corners with an 1/8 inch roundover bit, and we did a final sanding and just did a little bit of cherry Danish oil on here. And Danish oil has a little bit of varnish in it, so it kind of adds a little bit of protection. This is perfectly touchable, and I mean, it feels great. I mean, it just feels like a really beautiful, smooth wood surface here, which is what I enjoy most when I make something. Is I like this natural finish on here. There's nothing left coming off of here. This has been setting for a couple of days now. It still has that smell, right? It's still got the Danish oil smell, which means it's still curing. I will let this cure for, I don't know, probably another week or the rest of the week. Maybe by next week, this should be cured out. And then I will either put a, I'm still debating, I might do a lacquer, but I'm kind of leaning towards the salad bowl finish, which is a really super simple, you can wipe it on with a rag and wipe it off and it's done. So salad bowl finish is pretty nice on here, just because it is a kitchen item. And but I'm just super pleased with the way this turned out. The splines that were put in here were decorative, but they're also functional because this is a miter joint. So these joints are 45s glued together. Not the most structurally sound. So these splines add a little bit of strength to those miter joints. I don't ever see this coming apart. I did a pretty good glue job on here. And then this strip of walnut right here is just a decorative strip. I made like a really thin dado cut around the perimeter. And then I had a really thin strip of walnut that I inlaid into there, and then it got all sanded flat. And that was just for decoration. That's all it was. But I think it turned out really beautiful. Cherry is such a gorgeous wood. And one of my favorite finishes on cherry is the cherry Danish oil. And so there you go. So this is pretty much done. Like I said, next week I might put just a little finish on there. But pretty much going to label this one done. So that's a nice feeling of accomplishment there. I do like that. Let me show, speaking of done, I have to grab my mouse real quick. So pardon me for leaving the scene. I just wanted to grab my mouse because I'm going to switch over and show you one other thing that I had pulled up here. So let me, speaking of done projects, there we go. I'm going to switch to this screen just so I can, I think it's right here for me, so I can see it. This was, and I've seen this, I've showed this in previous streams when I was working on this project. This was a toy sewing machine table that was brought to me to repair. The legs were, the top was not too bad. I just did a little, not even refinishing. I used, what did I use? Some touch-up stuff on there, and the top kind of came about, but the drawers underneath and the legs were just completely trashed and destroyed. So I took it all apart and recreated this machine, and it turned out beautifully. So I didn't have any pictures with the sewing machine on it, the little toy machine. So I just wanted to show these. This is the toy machine right here. Can I zoom in on that? You can, there we go. So this is the little teeny toy machine on there. It's so cute. And the person that I did this for came by this past weekend and picked it up. And let's see if I can show the other one here. Come on, little thing, click there. Oh, hang on, click, there it is. So here's the other view right here. Can I click that in? Yeah. Ooh, I can zoom it in way in so you can see that little machine right there. Is really super cute little machine. It's kind of really cool. To give a little contrast, that's the toy machine in front of a couple of regular, well, that's a regular sewing machine back there. It's got a cover on it, a coffin cover. But this is actually an industrial machine. This is an industrial Singer sewing machine. So you've got the two extremes. You get the little tiny one, and then you've got the big industrial machine right there. So I just wanted to give you a view because I don't think I actually showed it with the machine. I didn't have an opportunity to do that. These pictures are posted over in my Facebook page. So in the JR's Woodshop Facebook page, you can go over there. I post pictures of finished projects and things over there and other just general things, along with, you know, sending out this live stream. So a lot of the woodworking stuff I do is posted over there. I also have a sewing machine base specific page, which is where I talk about the stuff that I do for sale, which is my sewing machine bases. That's kind of, I don't post a lot of stuff like this over there because honestly, I don't want a lot of people trying to give me these projects to do. This is something that I took on because it sounded like it was fun and interesting, but it's not something I want to do all the time. It really is not my thing, is restoring stuff. That's not really where I think my talents lie. It was challenging. It was nice because it had some tenon work on there, which I hadn't really done, some tenons, a lot of tenon work. So it was kind of interesting and it was fun because I got to recreate something and kind of match the aesthetic and everything. But it's, like I said, it's nothing I want to do all the time. And so I kind of take that and leave it in my woodworking page. If I put that on my sewing machine page, I would get peppered with requests to do restorations, and that's really not my thing. I will do things like that on a very limited and particular basis. It has to be really kind of interesting to me and a challenge and everything else. But anyway, let's go out of there and back to the regular camera. Hang on a second while I switch my view. There we go. So my computer sits over there. So I'm looking at you over here, but my computer's over there and my computer screen's over there. And for me to see what you're seeing, I have to kind of look over there sometimes. So, and this is over here on this computer is just basically my chat windows opened up so that I can keep an eye on the chat and interact with you if ever anybody comes in. That's why I have this there. So, all right, today, like I said, two things we're going to do today. One is I've got this over here. And you're like, what the heck is that? That is my garage door up with a fan in front of it. You can't see the fan. You can just see the top of the fan. That's my, my air filter cleaner fan. I've got it blowing out my garage, and I'm going to go over there periodically and spray some lacquer. I've got all these bases that I need to get done. So they're all ready. I've got my lacquer here. This is my Watco crystal clear lacquer semi-gloss. So this stuff kind of hard to find, the semi-gloss, and I say kind of hard to find because I like to buy it at Walmart, and I like to buy it at Walmart because it's usually $2 to $3 cheaper per can at Walmart. And I do use rattle can stuff when I'm doing the boxes, and it's just I find it's easier. I have a sprayer, and I could do the spraying, but the sprayer I like to use for larger projects, not small stuff. And because there's nooks and crannies, I think I just have a little more control with the spray can. Also, it's not always easy to get that semi-gloss look with the sprayer. For whatever reason, it comes out a little more glossy than I like. And the semi-gloss is just a little bit more glossy than this surface right here. You can see this has, I mean, if I get the light on it, you can see it kind of will do a little light reflecting, but it's not super glossy. And I hate, most of the time, I hate super glossy stuff. I like a semi-gloss, or not a satin, but somewhere around a semi-gloss finish is what I prefer. So periodically I'm going to go step over, I will spray, and I actually have, I will rotate bases. So I have a base there to be sprayed, and then I have a whole bunch of them sitting over here. See, I've got the rest of them kind of over here on the side of the frame. So I will go and rotate those in to be sprayed and have the one I sprayed and put it over here. I've got another board set up that they can rest on when they're not being done. This actually has, I make these things just kind of, so if you'll see here, there's actually screws in this so that it's kind of like having little pyramids to rest on. This one is specifically for my bases, and they fit exactly on there. You have to be a little careful with those things sticking up, but you don't need to go get specific painting pyramids. I mean, I have some over here that I will be using, but just for taking it off and resting it while the lacquer dries, and I'm doing the next one, just, you know, put some screws or some nails through a board and just rest it on there. All you're trying to do is get a little teeny tiny point for your project to set on. Don't push on it. You don't want to scratch or anything, but just a point for it to sit on, which will not leave any visible marks, especially in the bottom of these things. I'm not going to get any visible marks on that plywood. So this works out really well for me. But before we get into spraying, which I'm just going to run over, spray a coat, and then I'll let it dry for a couple of minutes, then I'll move it and do another one, and you'll see. That's easy. So before we get into that, let me get into my problem, which if you read the description, you'll see that I have a problem. I have a lot of problems, but this one specific to my workshop. So this is a base for a specific type of machine. It's for a 301. A 301 is a very popular sewing machine. I'm going to grab one right here. I've got one over here that I've used for measurements and such. So let me grab this really quick while I walk in front of you again, but that's okay. I was not prepared like I should have been by having this available. And then I'm going to just wipe it off really quick. I have a little dusty towel here. It's a little dusty. Let me just clean it off just a little bit before I go sticking it up here on the workbench. All right, this is, and it's not a beautiful example of a 301, that's why I'm using it. This is a 301 machine. They are very popular, although they're not as popular in this color. This is the, I can't remember what color they call this, but it's kind of gross color. Anyway, these are very popular machines. I guess they're very good sewing machines and people like to use them. So I came up with a base that would work for a short bed and a long bed. So let me explain. A long bed machine, this is the bed right here, right? And let's see if it looks better over here. There we go. So this bed right here comes in two versions. The short bed, which is this one, which sticks out here. And then there's a long bed, which is this big. So it would go to the extent of this base right here, which is why I made this particular base the way I did, because if you have a short bed, you can put this little lid in here, and now you've got a nice little bed extension there. If you have a long bed, you just take this out and stick it inside, and your bed will cover this entire area. Because it's a long bed, it actually sticks out like 2 inches longer. So that's why I made this base. It's constructed similarly to the other bases that I've made, like the one we're getting ready to spray. And that I've got little handles on the bottom here, or on the sides. There's the handles right here. And this is a little different construction because I used, which is part of the problem. I used dovetail joints on these, which I like, just like with the splines, I like using contrasting wood with the splines. I like using contrasting wood with my dovetails. I think it looks super cool. Let me put this over here for a second so I can talk about the base now that you've seen the machine. So I like using dovetails with contrasting wood because, come on, that looks really cool, right? That's really nice. Also, this is gorgeous wood. So this is, oh gosh, I'm gonna have a brain aneurysm here trying to think of what it is. I'll remember it in a minute. Anyway, it's quarter sawn, but it's really, really pretty. Sycamore, that's what it is, sorry. So this is quarter sawn sycamore, and you can see, that is just some ridiculously cool looking grain on there. Quarter sawn sycamore with the ends are mahogany. So that's pretty attractive as well. So I was like, well, that's a nice combination. You can see that, you know, you get these really great looking dovetail joints, especially over here. The tails look great. The pins, they're not bad either. The pins look pretty good too, but it's those dovetails right there. The tails look really cool. And anyway, so I made this base and I used my sewing machine and right there, I used that. And I actually have a long bed model. It's downstairs. in the basement, but I had a long bed that I could also use to make sure that I got both the measurements correct so I could know how much of an extension kind of platform to make on there. And instead of using corner supports, what I did was going back here again, sorry, I'm flipping back and forth. What I did was I routed a ledge all along the inside of this base, and the machine actually sits on that ledge. There was one particular problem that I had to overcome in that the machine, back to the machine here. So the machine where that bed pivots, you see right here, the bed pivots. Well, on that pivot is this little piece that sticks down past the bed. And I had to come up with a way to accommodate that so that you could, if you didn't have this little notch right here, what would happen is you'd lift the bed and then it would just raise right up. The whole machine would tip up because that little lip from the bed would go down and impact this. So I came up with this little notch, figured out how wide it needed to be, how deep it needed to be. I actually did this on the CNC machine. So I set up a CNC profile to cut this particular notch in this particular place. And yeah, so that in itself was like, all right, this is basically a prototype. There was another one that was more of a prototype, but I didn't have a long bed at the time. So it works fine for a short bed, but it didn't work for a long bed because it's an extra long, it was a little bit longer than this one. Anyway, this is my prototype for being a finished project. And it just needs some lacquer on there, and this thing's actually ready to be sold. And I have a lot of people who would just snap this up in a heartbeat, I think, because like I said, it's a really popular machine. There's a lot of requests for 301 type bases, and there's really not a lot of people making them. So I was like, well, if I could just knock these things out, that would be super fast and cool. And you know, as far as finish goes, I just do like an oil finish on these. And I think I did this got the tongue oil finish. So it's a very natural finish. It's really easy to do. There's no mess with stains or anything else. Like with, you know, these bases, I have to stain them. And it's, you know, because that's just the way they look. I mean, they're awesome, but they're stained really dark. So yeah, I like the oil finish, and I was like, well, this would be great if I can just kind of keep this going. So the problem I came up with though is after I did this one, I was like, well, that's cool. So let me show you where this is not the problem. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. So here's my problem. Here's another one that I made. Now, all these use the same dimensions. I've used that as a measurement, figured out exactly what those measurements need to be. And you can see here's my notches right here. Hopefully you can see the notches. So these have the notches in them for, there you go, right here. These were all CNC carved. So they're very exact. This is some beautiful flamey, it's hard to see for you all, but very lovely flame maple right here. And flame maple and walnut. I mean, come on, that's just, look at that. That's just cool, right? So I have 1, 2, 3 of these, because I was like, you know what? I like to make things in batches. What do? We make them in batches because it's more efficient. And it's just the way we do. So when I came to look at these, and if you look at these, I mean, you can see they are all within like a 1/16 of an inch or so, maybe less than that. This one on top, maybe just, let me line this up. They're all within a 1/16 of an inch of each other. You can see these are all these edges match up, right? So they're very close to the exact same size. And I have a jig that I use for these dovetails. So I do these on my router table. I don't hand cut these or anything. These are all done with a machine set up. It doesn't change, and it gives me the sizing for these so that these are set back the exact same amount for each thing. And I get repeatable dimensionality out of my cuts. That's a good way of putting it. So the problem is when I said, okay, I mean, you saw just a moment ago when I had that, that machine sitting in the prototype base, or the first of its kind, everything was great. I was like, okay. So then I just took my little test machine. After I did all these, I took my little test machine and I went to put it in here, and there's Houston, we have a problem. I don't know how this happened, but this does not fit in my little groove. And that's my problem. So hopefully you can see that that bed is sitting above the groove. It should be resting inside of this rabbet that's been cut out. It is, I'm going to say, if I put this, I can't even put it on the edge here. It is, wow, like maybe less than a 16th, or maybe a 16th. It's less than an eighth. 3/30 seconds, maybe. So, all right, well, there's that one. Let's try this one. Now, mind you, I used the same dimensions as the other base. Now, this one is even closer to fitting, but it's about a 16th of an inch off. So I've got a 16th of an inch that is not wide enough on here. This will not fit. All right, let's go for 3. Let's get this one down here. And this one, also about a 16th of an inch off. I am 0 for 3. How this happened, I do not know. I checked my dimensions. I used the same rabbiting bit, and the rabbiting bit I got was actually a new bit that I got, which actually has a larger diameter wheel that follows this contour. And it perfectly, you can see that perfectly matched the round edge of the sewing machine. But the problem I have now is that this is not wide enough. By the smallest of margins, it's not wide enough. Oh, it kind of almost got stuck in there. It's not wide enough. So now I have an issue. How? Because here's the thing. This is a lot of wood, and it's not cheap wood. This is flame maple and walnut. So it's not just like cheap scrap wood or anything. It's not even in the league of cherry, where, you know, cherry, if I had to ditch 3, I'd be like, well, it is what it is. It's not gonna financially ruin me. This won't financially ruin me either. Don't get me wrong. It's not that expensive, but it's not cheap wood. Finding really pretty flame maple, and this is just, I mean, it's hard for you to see that flamey in there, but the flame in this thing, look at the flame in that. It's just gorgeous. And walnut is just walnut. Walnut's not cheap. Walnut is an expensive wood. And I don't want to start over. I've already done the handles, you see. So my question 1 is, how did this go wrong? I don't understand where, you know, I was following the same dimensions and everything else. The only thing I can think is that, I mean, the wood dimensions are the same. They're the same thickness as so this is, like I said, this is the one we just fitted in, and it fits in here, right? And I'm going to get my calipers out. Now, I'm not like throwing this out to say, oh, well, I've figured it out. I have not figured this out yet. I don't know how I'm going to fix this. I don't know, I'm going to turn this on. I don't know why exactly it happened. If I measure, zero out here. If I measure this board, okay, 0.731, so a little less than 3/4 of an inch. And that might be why. Maybe these were down, because this is almost 3/4. This is 748. So this is about 1/100 of an inch thicker on each side than this board is. Yeah, that's 3/4 of an inch. So perhaps that's the problem, is that this one, these boards were milled down about maybe 1/100 of an inch thicker or thinner. And when you take two of those, well, that's 2/100ths of an inch. That's measurable, right? So 2/100ths of an inch is, well, it's about a 1/16 or so. Well, there's my 1/16 right there, right? If I measure the width on this, it is exactly 7 inches. This one is a 1/16 of an inch less. It's 15/16. And then the others are going to be very equal to that. So I'm coming up with measurements that are a 1/16 of an inch is basically ruining this project. 1/16 of an inch. I know, measure twice, cut once. Well, that wouldn't really have helped me too much on this one. So I've got 19 1/4 here. Now the distance on this is not super critical because I can adjust the length by just adjusting the size of this inlay piece. But you can see this just doesn't fit in this one. And this is also a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm a 1/16 of an inch too small on my width and my length. I'm not sure, like I said, the only thing I can figure to account for that is that I was using outside measurements maybe instead of inside measurements. And so with this wood being slightly thicker, yeah, see, it's 1/16 of an inch. So my question is, and I'm asking this to myself as well as anybody else who wants to throw a suggestion in there. This one's almost an 1/8. This one's really bad. This one's like almost an 1/8. So it's like a 1/16 on each side. Now, this one actually might be workable because it is such a large measurement. But my question is, how do I get that 1/16 of an inch in here without ruining the profile here? I need to maintain this little profile here, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. So let me get the bit that I use, the rabbit bit, because that might be my key to fixing this, but it's gonna be tricky. All right. Hopefully this has all the goodies in here. So this is an Amana tool rabbiting bit. And let me just get all but one of these bases over here. So this is an Amana tool rabbiting bit. And I bought it specifically to do these because A, it's super sharp. You can see this is a, there you go, I'll give you a little close up. So this is a beefy little bit right here. It's a 1/2 inch shank. The thing that makes it super valuable is that these wheels right here are changeable. So this is a changeable, you can change the size of the rabbit, how deep in, so how far that rabbit cuts in or out. This one right now is set up, is it set up for this one? Yeah, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so this one is, right now is set up for this cut. It has different size wheels. This is kind of a pain to get these out of here. I try to keep it in here just because I should probably find a new place to put this stuff. And let me do it this way so you can see what I'm doing here. So there are different size wheels in here, and these different wheels give you different diameter cuts, different depth of cut. So for a 1/2 inch, you want to use the 3/8 inch bearing. For 7/16, you want to use the 1/2 inch bearing. For 3/8, use a 5/8, and for 5/16, use a 3/4. Well, this is a, I don't know how big this is. What is this? This is the, it says 3, so let me put that into my fractions here and see what I'm getting here. So now 11/32. Sorry. So 5/16 is basically what I've got here, which is the 3/4 inch bearing, right? So if I wanted to add a 1/16 onto that size. So a 1/16 would be 6/16, which is not really a thing. So the difference between 5/16 and 3/8, this is 5/16, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16 is basically, I mean, that's a 1/16 over a quarter of an inch, right? If I go to 7/16, I mean, that's adding 1/8 of an inch onto this whole thing on each side. I don't know that I want to do that. 3/8 adds a 1/16. So if I was at 5/16, if I go to 3/8, that would be a, that would add a 1/16 onto my width. That might be enough. So what I want to do here, and we'll try these out. We'll experiment here. I mean, I've got 3 of these things. Hopefully we'll start with the least detrimental. What that does though is that adds a 1/16 onto each side, whereas some of these I only need a 1/16 on one side. I think having a little bit extra is going to be okay. If there's a little bit of play in there, I think that might be savable. Because honestly, this is $450 worth of bases. Give or take. $450 worth of bases right here. You can see why I don't want to just throw these in the scrap pile and start over again. You know, $450 worth of bases right here, plus my time and everything else. So $450, I don't want to lose $450 that I might be able to recover. So our goal here is to try to recover this and make this work. So for the, what did I say? So for the 3/8, we need to find the 5/8 bearing. So there's different size bearings here. Let me go back here so you can see. So I have different size bearings, and that's what I love about this, is that it had a lot of flexibility in here. Now, I don't use this for everything. Like, I won't use this for the bottoms. I could, but I don't normally use this for the bottoms because my 1/4 inch that I have gives me the exact spacing that I'm already used to for doing the bottoms, and it does a much smaller corner radius. This is a very large radius, but that large radius, and that's the other thing, that radius fits this machine perfectly. So I'm hoping that this doesn't change that radius too much. So what do I need? I need the, what did we say we were going to go to? I'm at 7/16. We need the 5/8 inch. So let's find 5/8 here. That's 7/8. That's not it. It doesn't say anything about a 7/8 inch. This one is 5/8 right here. So that's the 5/8 inch bearing. It is smaller than this bearing that's in here now. This is the 3/4 inch. You can see it is considerably smaller. Hopefully you can see that, than this bearing. So what we're going to do is put our little wrench in here. It's got a little, it comes with its own wrench. I'm going to try not to cut my fingers on these very sharp blades while I do this and loosen this. Ow! See, I said I'm going to try not to cut my finger, and I just did. But that's okay. So take this little screw out of the top here. And it actually has extra screws, and some of these are shorter and longer depending on which wheel you're using and the depth of that wheel. That's the other thing too. Some of these are, you know, much shorter. So we went to the 5/8 from the 3/4. Is that where we went from? Yeah, so we had the 3/4, which gave us a 5/16 ledge, a rabbet, 5/16. So we're going to go to the 3/4. This is also shorter than that one, but it should be okay. We're going to see if this screw that we just took out is long enough. I might have to use the shorter screw. So let's see, we're going to put this in here and see if this tightens down. It does tighten down, so we will tighten this down on here. All right. Now, if I measure from the edge of this to the blade, it will tell me that I'm going to get a, well, 23/64, maybe a little bit more than that. 3/8. So it should be about a 3/8 inch cut right there. Pretty close. If I take 3/8 of an inch and measure that to here, that's going to give me just a little bit wider. So I tell you what, let's go ahead. I hadn't planned on doing this. This is kind of like, I wasn't figuring this out yet. So let's go ahead and see. I'm going to move some stuff around in the shop because I wasn't really set up for this. But let's go ahead and switch the router out, and let's see if we can fix one of these anyway. Just one of these. I'm going to set this machine over here. I need to clear the router table off is what I need to do. So I'm clearing off the router table here. I'm going to set these bases back over here. I also have all the bases that I'm getting ready to spray. So lots of bases here. Lots and lots of bases. I can move these over to this side of the table. I mean, the bottom line is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 bases. Well, these bases are not done. I still have some work to do on the ones I'm showing you right now that we're trying to fix. But you know, when you want to talk money, because you know everybody likes to talk a little bit of money. At bare minimum, this is let's see here. Just do a little simple math. Clear. So that's about $1,000 worth of bases just sitting around here and doing nothing. So which is why I need to start spraying, and it's why I need to come up with a solution to fix these, because that's a lot of money, lots of money. Let me go fix a camera view for you here to go over to the table, and we'll watch this. So I think this camera right here will, that's pretty close. Let me get this zoomed in on the actual router table though for you. There we go. So we're going to zoom it in on the router table here. This is where we're going to be working. And we're going to see if we can fix this. So right about that, looks good. Okay. I'm going to set this up with this bit right here. And let me push this over this way a little bit. Just kind of get it out of your field of view a little bit. All right. So, ow, that is a sharp blade, by the way. I need to take this cover off. Now this is, like I said, this is a 1/2 inch shank. And kind of a pain to get this out of there sometimes. It's a 1/2 inch shank, so I need to change the collet as well as the bit. But that's all right. So I'll bring my little plates over here. We'll raise this back up. Now this is the bit that I normally use for doing rabbiting. And you can see much smaller, and it is the one I use to do the bottoms. So when I create the bottom, you can see that this radius right here, that's a very small radius compared to the radius in the top. This is a much larger, that's a much larger radius right there. And that's because I used the Amana blade to do the top. And you can see, I mean, just beefy wise, look how much bigger this one is. This one's much bigger than this one. It does a much larger radius. So kind of all those things to figure out. All right, let's get this in here. And we have to loosen this, remove this blade. This is my 1/8 inch roundover that we just used the other day. Oh, that's a very squeaky thing right there. All right, so get that in there, get my wrench from over here. Let's loosen this. All right, now I'm going to pull this blade out, but I'm going to take this collet all the way off. And then I have a 1/2 inch collet. So this one used for these much beefier, sturdier. I mean, I love using router bits with 1/2 inch shanks on them because they're just, there's very low vibration. They're just really super stout and stiff and strong. And I just feel like they're, I don't know, they just feel more sturdy than the 1/4 inch shanks. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but they just feel that way sometimes. All right. So what we need to do here, a couple things. First, I need to figure out how large this opening is and find an appropriate, I think this is the appropriate one, pretty sure. Yeah, that's just, that would shave the edge of that just a little bit. So we'll go with this one. So it's an 1 5/8 on that. We'll lock this in. Okay, now what I need to do is figure out how deep to set this cut, because I already have a cut made and I want this to be equal to this cut. So what I'm going to do is lay that cut down on the blade here and until this surface touches the ground. And then that should give me the same depth of cut. So a little bit less, a little bit more. When I see it starting to move the blade, and my router is not plugged in right now. No. So it's moving the blade there, not moving the blade, moving the blade, not moving the blade, just a little bit, down a little bit more, down a little bit more. Might be good right there. Because the depth of cut on here is perfect. I've got the depth of cut, it matches, it's good. It's not the depth of cut that was my problem, it was the part of of the width of the cut. The other issue that I have is the notch here. So when the wheel, which follows the inside of the wood here, that's what guides that router bit, right? Well, when it hits this notch, it's going to go zoop and drop into that notch, and that would make this rounded right here. That's not what we want. So I have to be really super careful when I get to this part to make sure that I'm not letting that wheel drop into that notch right there. And I might have to clean that up with a chisel. So I'm okay with that. But what we are going to do is we're going to test this, and I'm going to test it on an area without that big side there. And we're going to test this. Let me make sure on this side I get the same results there. Looks like I am. I'm going to test this on the long side and check the radius. Make sure the radius isn't super screwed up. Yeah. So I mean, right now, I'm kind of nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous about this because, like I said, this is, you know, for me, it's a lot of money on the table that if I can pull this off and fix these and make them viable, then that's super great. Otherwise, I've just wasted a whole bunch of really nice wood and my time and everything else. So a little nervous, but let's give this a try. Let me hook up the power here and we can put some ears on and we'll make a cut. Now I do have to adjust the cutting speed. The larger the router bit you use, the slower you want your bit to turn. You don't want to go super fast with these big router bits. You want to slow them down a little bit. That's kind of like a general rule of thumb that was told to me, and I've followed it for a long time now. So, all right, let's see. I need my ears right here. There's my ears right here. And I've got the fan kind of, or not the fan, but the dust collection hose just kind of sitting here in the corner. And we'll see how well it does. It's not going to be a huge cut. It's just going to take a little wood off because there's not that much to take off here. But all right, let's turn this on, adjust the speed, and then make a cut. I just love the shavings that this thing does because they're so they're they're so cool looking. All right, so I did this right up until I'm going to come back over here and show you exactly the difference because I didn't complete the cut all the way around. So you can see that I brought that cut right up to this edge right here. And hopefully you can see that. Here's the other side. Now it looks like I need to go a little deeper with it, perhaps. Little bit of a lip there. But on this side, well, still a little bit right here too. So I'm gonna have to take this a little deeper, I think. But you can see I stopped right there. And I'm going to, now I can also use my router plane. You've seen me use my router plane before too. I can use my router plane to clean up the bottoms of these routes a little bit. But for right now, this is the test. Okay. Now that is a little wide, but the corner, you know what? It's not bad either. I think it's serviceable. So what I'm going to do is finish this cut up and like I said, be very careful with these corners right here because I don't want to do an indent here. So I'm going to be very careful with these corners. So let's go ahead and finish this cut up and then we'll kind of see if we can do a little cleanup on it and see how that result looks. But promising, very promising. All right, go back to this camera right. Nope, sorry, wrong camera. This camera, there we go. So very promising. Like I said, I'll probably need to do a little cleanup on the bottom of here. I can do that with my, because this is going to have to run to there and I'm going to have to finish it over here. Okay. All right, let's give it a run here, Howie. I don't know. Let's see here. Still a little nervous about this. I just ran it through again just to try to clean up this bottom right here. It's a little tall on that lip right there. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. That looks pretty good. I need to let me get a chisel really quick here and just see if I can clean up this edge and get it nice and straight. I need a kind of a wider chisel right here. That's good. So let me bring this back over to the workbench really quick. And I'm not sure why I set these over here. But here we are at the bench. And it has, you can see where I had to take that cut right here. There's a little notch right there that kind of comes up to a point and then back down. And all I need to do is just trim that a little bit off. And I could probably just pare that down right here. Really gently just pare it down. And then try to, maybe if I go this way. There we go. So there's that little piece off of there, and that's pretty straight. So paring this is pretty simple. If you got a sharp chisel, there we go. That's perfect. Now, let's bring that the sewing machine back over here. And let's give this a full view here of what we've got. This sits in here. It's down. I've got a little bit of extra space around the edge. I can live with that. I think anybody who has this as a base could live with that too. It's just a little teeny bit of work around there, but I mean, when you consider how awesome this looks, and it does look awesome, that's not bad. Now, my other thing is, okay, well, what am I going to make this top out of? Because it has to be made out of one of the two woods, either walnut or maple. But you know what? That is a question mark for another period of time. So for right now, we can go figure out about these other ones. Now, hang on one second. I want to check one thing here. I want to see one thing. So this is my router plane right here, and I'm going to set the depth on this. I'm going to do it in the corner right here. And let me make sure that this is loose. And then I'm going to lower this down until it's just kissing the wood on the corner here. So right there. Yeah, that's good. And then lock it in. And then what I can do is I can address a couple of these higher areas where the wood just wants to be a little higher. I'm not sure why. But I can kind of clean these up with this. And then with my chisel, which I don't want to do any excessive, but and this is a little extra work right here, but that's okay. I don't mind. Because like I said, I can clean this up also with the chisel. Once I get these edges kind of done in here, the chisel work on here would be really simple. I can just go in here and right to the edge and kind of just remove that extra wood. You can see it just pops out here, just like that. So that shouldn't be too hard. Although this corner is a little challenging. But I can get a smaller chisel as well and you kind of do this. Okay. So there's going to be a little bit of work to do this, but I'll tell you what, I'd rather do a little work in here than to lose the entire project, right? There we go. That's not bad. And like I said, cleanup on here is not going to be that extensive. There's just a couple of areas. Once I ran it through again, it kind of leveled things out. All right. Now, here's the thing. I don't remember which one was which, but one of these was needing just a little bit of work. I hope it was that one. One of these needed more extensive work. It was thinner than the other one. Let me check and see here. So we're going to go back over here. So one of these was thinner. I think these were the same. One of these needed a lot more. So that may have been it. If I line up the insides, and let me see. This one does not need as much work. And this is the one that like, I'm just kind of like, because this one was just a hair, I mean, just a hair out. It's the one that I think is gonna, I may not have to, yeah, see this one's just, well, yeah, this one right here should be a good fit. Let's do this one next. We're gonna do this one next. This one's been done right here. Set that aside. Let me clean up my vacuum mess here a little bit. I love the shavings that come off of this thing. It's so sharp, and I get these little like confetti-like shavings off of here. They're much different than the other router, I can tell you that for certain. So I can tell you that this, move this over a little bit, this Amana blade or router bit is certainly more expensive than a lot of other ones, but it's an investment in the finished product. If you get a cleaner cut with less effort, you know, that's time because that's less you have to clean up. So that cleaner cut just really kind of adds to everything. Now, let me try this one because if I put this little, let me make sure, I'm going to check this. See, this one seems like it's a little tall. I'm going to check the depth on this one just like I did that last one. Go up a little bit here. See that? There. Seems like that's where we should be. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna slowly go in with this. I'm gonna go long side again, but let me get all this stuff out of the way here. And while I'm standing here next to the computer, let's just check the feeds here. Okay, no comments, no issues. All right, so I'm gonna start with this one, and we're just gonna go. All right, let's go. Let's do this. There will be a lot of cleanup after this. I can guarantee you that, because this thing does make some little chips. All right, I've still got that thing with the corners there. Let me just pare those off. I didn't really need to use my chisel, so I think I can just do this right here at this table. Go. Paring off these little points here where I couldn't quite, I had to hold back just a little bit. That looks good. Let's bring over the test machine. Check it out. All right, now the fit on this one, a little closer. Like I said, my corner profiles changed a little bit, and they changed. Uh-oh, I just lost a camera. Oh, hang on a second, my bad. Sorry about that, we just lost my camera. I did not have it plugged into the power at the time. Limited power supplies here, so I apologize for that. See if we can bring that camera back up to life here. Here we go, it'll be back up in a second. There we go. Sorry about that. See, that's why it's so important that I actually have a screen up that you can see. I have no idea how long that was out of view, and I apologize for that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so when we changed the diameter of the bearing that we use to do this, we changed the profile, the radius of these corners. The radius changes with the bearing size that you have. And that means I've got a little extra room on these corners, but that's okay. I can live with that. This, and actually I need to clean out, I'm gonna have to use a chisel to clean out just a little bit of this. And yeah, so let me show you what I mean. Let me take these ears off. Oh, it sounds like I'm talking in a muffle. So what happened is I generally don't have this problem, but you can see, hopefully you can see right here, I'm gonna put it really close. So right here, that is touching and running into the edge of this, because this was only cut, this was cut as deep as I thought it needed to be. Well, this cut has now gone this way, so it leaves a little ledge right here. That ledge needs to be cleaned out. I will do that with a chisel. I have a smaller chisel to use than this large one. So let me grab a smaller chisel and let's try to clean that out a little bit. So a little hand work, a little chisel work here. Then grab a couple of chisels. And I've got like a little 1/4-inch chisel and then got a 13 millimeter, which I don't know if the 13 fits in here or not. It's just a little wide. So the 13 is a little wide. So I'll be using the 1/4-inch chisel right here. And I'm just gonna mark the edge of where this goes first. So I'm just gonna give it a little tap here. If I can find my mallet here. Give it a little tap here. And that way it doesn't extend past where you need to go. And I'm just going to try to pare this down a little bit. Just try not to go too extreme here. Just a little paring down to the bottom of the cut. And then we'll come in from the bottom here like this. And just clean out that little cut right there. Clean it up on the sides. Clean it up on this side. And that should be good for that one. So you can see now that this goes all the way to the side and it should not impact that lid at all. I'm gonna do the same for this one. So I'm just gonna mark the edge here. I'm just gonna put one little tap here and then one on this end. Okay, and then we can, I don't want to use the mallet. I'd rather, I'm gonna turn it this way. I'd rather try to hand pare this down because the mallet might go a little too far. So I think I have a little more control. I mean, I could just use little taps, but just kind of wiggling the chisel along this edge, I think is going to give me a nice little cut. And I can just go right to the bottom, right here. Maybe a little bit more on this one. There we go. Now I can clean up the sides here. There we go. I think that's pretty clean. And this needs a little bit more right here. That's not bad. All right. And then I just had to kind of just scrape out the rest of it there. All right, let's see. That is those two edges cleaned up. Let's see how, let me move this a little bit. There we go. Let's see how our machine fits now. So we'll set our machine in and it rests, the depth on it is perfect. I mean, that's really nice depth on there. The table is just a hair above. This width actually worked out really well on here. So I have a little bit, like a 1/16 of an inch of void around the side there. And this works just fine. And the reason you need this is because that's how you get to where you put the bobbin in here. The bobbin is what holds all of your thread for the underside. Usually you have a spool up top of thread and a spool of thread down below, which goes on what's called a bobbin. And it's a round bobbin that fits underneath there. So you need to be able to get under there, put that bobbin in, change it out, whatever. So all we'll need to do is put a lid like that. Look at that. Look at that. So I will be cutting more of these, obviously, depending on which wood I'm going to make. But yeah, that's not bad. All right. This doesn't go with this one, but still That works out really well. I wonder if I didn't tongue oil finish this one because it does not appear to be the same. Anyway, I digress. All right, we've got 2 of them now that are done. I need to, probably need to clean these edges out on this one. I did not do that. But 2 done. I'm super happy now because the other thing that I can do now is I can put the bottoms in. Once I put the bottoms in, it's basically, I need to make a lid and sand these things and then, you know, a little finish. And I'm probably, like I said, I'm going to oil finish these things. So this one right here is not going to, this one's going to be a little bit more roomy because it is only like 3/30 seconds off. So it's going to be a little bit more roomy when we get done here. But I think that will be, let's see here. Sorry about that. Just checking things. Checking some stuff. All right, let's do this one. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be off a little bit. But that, you know what? Right now, the degree to which it's off is really within my my level of acceptability. Oh God, this wood looks so pretty. I love this wood. It looks awesome. All right. Let us do, and I got to make sure I do the right one here. Okay, I think, let me check the depth on this one. Over a little bit here. I'm gonna check the depth because I want the depth to be, this seems a little low on this one. I'm not sure why they keep seeming like they're a little bit lower, but I just want them to match up. I'm going to raise it just a hair. There it is, right there. Okay. All righty then. Let's get this cut going. All righty. Let's check this one out. Now I will have to do the same thing with this one in terms of cleaning off that, actually I was using the wide one. I'm gonna clean off that edge. And then this one I went just a hair inside. I was like, went a little further than I should have on that indent. Careful I don't chop my finger off there. But it's not super noticeable. It's noticeable to me. It won't be noticeable to whoever buys this thing. And that, you know, that's kind of a thing where, like if you don't tell somebody there's a mistake in your project, most people won't see the mistakes in your product. You see them because you know, right? I mean, unless it's like a big, bold, glaring mistake, a lot of the little teeny tiny things that you fix or whatever, most people won't know. They won't see it. So don't go pointing out your mistakes to people when you're like showing them a work or whatever. Don't show them or don't tell them. Don't say, hey, yeah, it's really great, except look right here. You can see this little place right here where this, they'll never notice. And that's so true. I found that out a while ago. I was like, yeah, this thing's messed up and whatever, and I'm not happy about it. And they're like, what thing is what? And I told them, they're like, oh, I would have never noticed that. And that has happened to me more than once. And I've come to find that, you know what, just don't point out the little things. Because what stands out to you like a sore thumb, like maybe it was a little tiny finishing error or something, you know, whatever, unless it's just something really bad, most people won't know the difference. So that is like a thing. Let me go back to this camera right here. So here's our fit on here. And this one, as I predicted, a little wide, but that's okay. I mean, the fit on here is really nice. The base fits in there supremely well. When I make a lid, that lid is going to fit super nice on here. And all right, I'm super thrilled because, like I said, this is about 450 bucks worth of bases here that I was really worried I would have to just toss out the window. And plus, people have been waiting these. I kind of rolled these out before I had even started doing the live streams. And this is episode 24. So, you know, 5 weeks ago, maybe I started doing these live streams. And so these have been sitting around in my shop forever and ever. Oh, and if you're wondering why I haven't gone over and started doing the lacquering yet, it's because when I decided to start doing this, I'm putting wood chips and dust in the air, and I don't want to have that going on with the lacquer process. That would not be good. But what is good is this. I'm so happy about this. I really wasn't sure if I'd be able to pull it off with the change in the bit. Now, what I am going to do though, is I'm going to unplug the router. I'm going to take this and I'm going to remove this bit and put it back together the way it was. Because I still prefer it with that other, when I changed to this profile of bearing, like I said, it changed those corner profiles. And the other corner profiles with the other bearing almost perfectly match these machines. So I really want to use that. I just have to figure out where I went wrong. And I might do a different construction. I may not do another dovetail. Because while I enjoy the dovetail things, I think when I need that level of precision, I think I'm not getting it using the dovetail. Just because there are some variables in that process. Not many, I mean, it's very slight, but still, I feel more confident if I do the other, maybe a different construction method. The other thing I haven't done in a while is a box joint or finger joint box. I need to do one of those. I have a whole jig for that I bought for doing box joints. And once you get it set up, it's really nice. The thing is, you use it with a dado stack. And so I have to change the dado and everything else. It's not the end of the world. And like I said, when you set up to do batches, it makes life really easy. Now, since I have this set up here and since I have these bases here, I think what I'm going to do, let me set this over here for right now. I think what I'm going to do is set this up over here to do the bottoms. So what I need to do is get a piece of plywood that I use for bottoms. Ooh, oh my God, dusty. So I have a scrap piece that I use just as a setup. So this is just it's 1/4 inch, it's very thin. This is what I use for the bottoms of the bases. And I will use this to set up the depth of cut for my rabbet bit that I use for the bottoms. Like I said, this has a much smaller diameter and therefore creates a much smaller, there we go, a much smaller radius on the corners. And I like that, at least for the bottoms. So, because it's the radius that is the nickel radius. And so I use the nickel to do the radius curves when I go to finish the bottoms. It's a thing. If you watch me make the other bases, you know what I'm talking about. So generally what I will do is make this a touch deeper. So this blade is a little taller than my board right here, so that this will actually be recessed in like, I mean, like a 1/16 of an inch below the sides. About like that. All right. And then what I can do, since I have them all here, is I can actually cut these. And this is really simple to do. Now what that 1/16 of an inch or that radius does is it allows me, the way these are cut, this is a 1/4 of an inch. So this rabbet bit cuts in a 1/4 of an inch. So a 1/4 of an inch, let me get a nice tool here. There we go. So if I set up a 1/4 of an inch on my little Craig tool here, should be like right there. So this is, I set a 1/4 of an inch depth on here. You can see there's that little hangover right here where it's a 1/4 of an inch over. That 1/4 of an inch cut does not go, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it does not go all the way through to the handle. That leaves me just a hair under 1/8 of an inch of wood between the bottom and the handle there. And that's really important because if you cut that wood if I cut this too deep, then it ruins the structural integrity of the back of this handle right here. And that's something I do not want to happen. All right, put all my goodies away here. Oh good, flies and stuff are back in my shop. That's awesome. That's the one thing about like always having my shop door closed. Go away, buddy. Is that I don't have to mess with the bugs. I do enjoy that about working in the wintertime. There's no bugs. And it was, by the way, stinking hot yesterday. Can I tell you how hot it was? So, on Monday, I'm going to sit down for a second. On Monday, it was, what's today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah. On Monday, it was 65 degrees for a high. 65. On Tuesday, yesterday, it was 85 degrees. I'm not used to those temperature swings. It was freaking hot. And I was doing yard work yesterday. Oh my Lord. It about killed me because I'm just not acclimated to that kind of heat yet. So I was out there just like thatching my yard and raking and mowing, and it was just like, oh, it was pummeling me. So I'm not used to these heat swings. It's going to be 80 something again today. I don't think it's 80 right now, but, ooh, nice. But yeah, it was stinking hot. So, I have to send a message here because I sent something to a buddy, and, I need him to know, because if he doesn't go pick it up, I don't want a porch bandit to get it. Let me copy that and paste it to him. Garage or other location. That's awesome. This thing is insured and whatever, and they can't take the time to just go like put it at their front of their house, knock on the door. I don't know. All right. Anyway, it was stinking hot. Now I got bugs in my, because I got the door open and it's going to be warm in here today. But for right now, back to this cam, let's go ahead and do the route for the base, for the bottom of the base. I see the base, for the bottoms of the base. Let's do the route for that. I have to adjust the speed back up because this is a smaller bit. So I'm going to turn the speed up a little bit. Oh, how about I plug it in first? That would be helpful. But, you know, safety first. Okay, so I can explain to you what I'm doing. I don't take a full cut when I start. So you'll see this line looks really jaggedy. I just do I try to do just a light cut around the interior to start with, and that kind of provides a line here. So if I'm gonna get any huge chip out or anything, which is a possibility depending on the wood species or whatever, I usually start with a light cut, and then from there I will progress to a heavier, to the full cut. So usually don't need to do more than 2 passes, but definitely start with a light pass, and then I do the final pass. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. And I don't know if you can see, like there are some larger chips that get pulled out, and that's what I try to avoid is getting some really huge chip outs of that. So let me clean this up real quick. And let me grab just a little bit of sandpaper, and I just like to clean off those interior corners a little bit. Sometimes it just leaves a little fuzz in the corners, but yeah, I mean, by the time it's all done and everything, it's a really nice clean cut on here. It's just like I said, sometimes it just leaves a little bit of fuzz. This one's a little, run this one through just a little bit here. I didn't quite get the depth that I want on some of these. It's kind of weird. That's actually not great at all. I'm gonna run this through again just because there's some areas that didn't get full depth cut, and I'm not sure, because when I move it around the table, sometimes it's not perfectly level in a spot if I don't move it around in the same way. So it's weird to explain, but anyway, let me just clean this up. Really weird. So it's really strange. It's almost like the cut like lowered or something. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, I'm going to reset the depth on this just a little bit. Yeah, it's like the depth lowered on some of these. It's kind of strange. I'm not sure why it would be that way. It shouldn't. And this should not move while I'm doing cuts. This should not move. So let me just run it through again. We'll do the whole side here. It'll just take a second. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened between that first and second pass. That's a little deeper than I wanted, but it's okay. It's not too bad. Not too bad. The other thing is that when we put this machine in here, all right, it has feet and it goes down, so you don't want this to be resting on the bottom. So these feet, it's kind of hard to show you. There you go. So the feet, you don't want those resting on the bottom. And we have enough clearance. We've got still almost a quarter of an inch of clearance from those feet touching that bottom piece of wood. And that's what you really want to make sure is that this is resting on this, this ledge, on this rabbet right here, not on the actual bottom. Because that's a lot of weight for that little plywood bottom to support, especially the way that we put those in. So that is better. Okay, the bottoms are done. So we've got routs on the both sides now. So now we can go back and move to the next one. Okay, I have to do something really quick. If everybody holds on just for a second, and go to a break, and then I will be right back. Maybe. Break. Okay, my thing's not connected here. Let's try it again. Because you love it when technology works, right? It's not connecting. You're not connecting. All right, well, I can do it from here. I'm going to go to a little break. I will be right back. Okay, well, I apologize for the break right there. Sometimes, you know, things have to be done. But also it's really weird. My iPad, which I use to change between scenes and such, just all of a sudden dropped connectivity from the internet and I can't get it to connect again. So we shall deal with that issue at a later time. Ah, whoa, microphone cable. Tuck that into the pocket so we don't choke ourselves. That would be a good idea. Do not want to choke myself on my lavalier. One thing that I can do with this setup is set the depth of cut with my marking gauge, and then I can mark the inside of the bases. Let me do it right here in the corner. So I can mark the inside of the bases, and hang on a second. All right, I just want to make sure my buddy got his package. Because, yeah, I sent him an Xbox. And it was like, so I don't know if you're aware of how hard it is to get an Xbox or a PS5 or a graphics card, or there's so many things right now that is just almost impossible to get a hold of. And I actually was able to order one, and so I was like, he's been trying to get one for months. I actually had one come up on an alert thing for me to order one. I didn't need one for myself, but he needed one. So I ordered one, and I actually got it. I actually was able to buy one, and I shipped it to him. Now, stupidly, I didn't just have it shipped directly to him, and that was like, I don't know why I didn't do that. But that being said, you know, still, he got his Xbox, and I didn't want it. It was like they left it in his garage, and I'm like, why did you all leave it at the garage? It's not good. Anyway, what I'm doing right now is I'm using my marking gauge set up with the depth of cut here, and it's just giving a little break line. I'm cutting the threads, I'm cutting the wood fibers right here. It's not much. It's just a little bit of a cut on those fibers using my marking gauge here. But what that will do is give me a cleaner cut and reduce chances of chip out as that bit comes along. And I usually do this. I did not do it on that last one, and I kind of just got ahead of myself. But that should be super good right there. It's hard for you to see. Let me put a pencil inside here and just run a line, and maybe you can see where there we go. So hopefully you can see right inside there is a line that I just scribed with my marking gauge that will coincide hopefully exactly with that bit and give me a cleaner cut. All right, let's cut this one. Let's do some more bottoms, shall we? All right. So that was pretty good. Um, and I did get that really nice, super clean line right inside there where I'd made that line with my marking gauge. Got a little pencil in there now, but I'll just run this sandpaper across there real quick and get rid of that pencil. These were already sanded, by the way, so which I probably need to get. I'm going to rub that on there. There we go. I need a really smooth sandpaper in here because I sanded these down with a smoother paper. There we go. Okay, so this is now done. Just cleaning up, like I said, it leaves up some little fuzz sometimes. But nice clean bottom. And we can get the last one done, which is this one right here. Stack this up a little bit. So this is the last one that needs a bottom cut into it. And I don't know if you can see this little bit of wood right here left between the bottom cut, this rabbet, and this handle. There's that strip of wood right there in between. And that's what I was talking about, that I don't want that to be super thin. I want that to have a little bit of rigidity and strength in there so that, it doesn't push in when your fingers are grabbing this like this, I want that to be solid. So that's enough wood in there to do that. And it took me a while to kind of figure that out because I cut all those handles get cut on my CNC machine. I cut all of these profiles on the CNC, not the router table. And it took me a while to get that exact depth that I need to make sure that when I do these bottoms that I have adequate clearance between the rabbet cut and the handle cut. And I think I've got that pretty well dialed in now. Okay, I'm just gonna run this marking gauge again along the inside here. Love this marking gauge, it's awesome. I did my little hand-built, came in a kit, so the hardware was there, and then I provided the wood surfaces. And I think that's like some cherry and some walnut. There's cherry and walnut together, but the walnut is a really nice hard surface, so I use that as the side that runs against the wood that I'm marking, so I can get nice accurate measurements in there. And that should be all four sides. It is. All right. Hang on a second. Let me just lower this back in so I protect that little blade that's in there. And we can do this last one. So let's get her done. So you can see, even though I'm only taking, you know, a little bit of wood out of there, it's like maybe 1/4 of an inch square. That's a lot of sawdust chips that come out of there. So, yep, that's the way it is when you're routing. It creates a lot of dust and a lot of debris. So, and I do not have under the table dust collection for this router, because the router is not contained in a box or anything. I've thought about doing that, but I just have not as of yet. There's a little notch right here. I'm gonna see if I can clean this up just a hair with the chisel. Just kind of pare it down just a little bit. See if I can pare this just a little. Just kind of smooth it out just a hair. There we go. That's all. Sometimes I'll get, just as I'm running it through, I get a little bit of a lift in there and it doesn't give me just an exact smooth bottom, but it's pretty darn close. And if you'll see me moving around, like I don't just go up, down, back, I kind of rotate it around. That's for a couple of reasons. One is I'm trying to maintain a good hold onto the project and be able to give force down on top of the part that's being cut. I don't like to have my hand directly over top of it, but I do like to have my hand in proximity that I can put pressure down and make sure that it's running as flush to this plate as possible. So anywho, back over to here. Now, well, that's awesome. That was more than I had planned on today, but that worked out really well. Now this one, I still need to cut those corners in. I have not done that. I have a couple things to do here. So before I get ahead of myself, which I am wont to do all the time, actually, hang on. First, I've got some dust in my nose that I need to get rid of. So hang on just one second if you would. And I'm gonna just do okay. I muted myself so you didn't have to hear me blow my nose. Trying to be courteous here, trying to be a courteous live streamer, not make you listen to me blow my nose. But before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to make sure that I switch this back to the size that it was. Excuse me. So that I have it set up for the next time. I'm gonna set on the table here. I think that might be a better. There we go. That's a little bit smarter. Works a little bit better. I'm going to take this screw out, a little teeny screw out of here. Take this bearing off. Thank you very much, Mr. Bearing. Just clean this up just a little bit there. Get a little gunk off of there. We'll put this one back on and we will put this back in. Screw it back in. And that way I have this set up for the next time when hopefully I get my measurements correct, which would be the best thing, to have them correct. All right. And I actually have these, so if you think I'm just like, you know, winging it, it's like, no. I actually have this all like scale drawn out so that I know what my measurements need to be. But what I didn't do in here, and this is where I need to really take a moment, is I did not mark inside. I marked, like I said, outside measurements, just assuming that this was all going to be correct. But what I need to do is mark inside measurements so that I know exactly what this measurement is going to be in here, because it does have a specific measurement it needs to be. If this is, because this provides a certain depth of cut, right? And I'm going to take the one that was the sample and I'm going to draw those. But anyway, so this bit provides a certain depth of cut, and I need to make sure that that distance from edge to edge where that cut is going to be is exactly, or just a hair over 7 inches. And that's what I did not do, because my measurements that I took this way, and I'll go back and adjust these plans so that I can make sure that next time I do this, they are correct. So I don't proceed without plans, and I do have measurements, but I measured the wrong things, and I didn't realize where that was going to impact what I was doing. All right, I have a little bag that I stick all of these bearings in. So I'm going to stick all these bearings and screws and whatnots back in this bag to keep them safe. But yeah, Amana bits are really, really nice. They can be pricey. I'm not going to lie. They can be a little pricey. But man, they make some really, really nice bits in here. For CNC machines and routers and whatnots. Amana tool makes really great stuff. All right, so these are tucked securely inside of my router bit bag here. I can just put this in my router holder. I have a foam thing that has different size holes for 1/4 and 1/2 inch shaft bits. So I'll put this back in there when I'm done. And I still can't figure out why my internet doesn't want to connect. It's like, why won't you connect to my internet? It sees the internet. It just doesn't want to connect to the internet. And I'm not sure why that is. That's very strange. Auto join is on and everything else. I go into airplane mode and I turn it off. It's like, oh. And then let me turn Wi-Fi back on. Can you turn Wi-Fi on for me? So I get Wi-Fi for like a 1/2 second and then it goes away. And I'm not sure why it's doing that. So I might need to do like a hard restart on my on this thing. Which, you know what, as long as I'm sitting, hang on, it just takes a second. I'm gonna do a hard restart where you hold this is an older iPad. So I'm just holding the button and the power button until it comes back on. You get the little Apple window thing there. And that kind of hopefully will reset things. All right. Distractions. Let me set this aside. All right, so like I said, I really wasn't planning on getting to this point, and I was planning on doing some spraying. But if I'm making this much dust, I don't want to be spraying lacquer while I'm making this much dust, and that's okay. I do need to fix the side on here, so I'm going to get that chisel, and I'm going to fix these edges. Where is that small chisel's right here? So I want to get these cleaned up. And then once this is all cleaned up, I can cut some bottoms for them, which I may not do. I probably won't do that today because I think we're about done. I'm super happy with the way that things have worked out today because I certainly wasn't planning on this. I said it was a mixed bag of nuts. I really didn't have a whole lot of plans for the day. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do today. I'm kind of at a loss. But this worked out really well. And not going to lie, I am not disappointed with the way things turned out today. Because, like I said, I do these bases while they're fun and interesting. Like this was a new one for me, a new design and everything. So it's kind of fun to figure out everything, but I don't do it just to figure it out. I do it to sell them because these are the things that kind of finance the rest of my projects and such that I do. And so without them, I don't have I mean, you know, could I buy stuff? I could, but I'd rather have my projects finance my other stuff. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just chip that out there a little bit. So I'd rather have them finance it by, you know, if I can make a few bases and sell them, and I take that money and then reinvest it back into my shop or into, you know, whatever. But it just, so that's why I make these things. And when they don't pan out, it's kind of disappointing on a lot of levels. But these, that looks nice. These turned out really well. I'm super happy with the way aesthetically, I mean, these are gorgeous. These are going to be beautiful and I'll have no problem selling them. I don't anticipate any problem being able to sell these. Because like I said, this is a very popular machine. Do this. This is a very popular machine, and a lot of people asking for bases, and there's not a lot of people making bases for these things. So I'm just trying to clean up this bottom here a little bit before I chip into these things. So yeah, so I'm really happy to be able to provide something that people need, and with them being as a little bit more obscure or unavailable, that provides me a little bit of market dominance, if you will. It just gives me an edge over anybody else who's not making them. Somebody else makes one like this, but theirs is a lot more complicated and not nearly as pretty. At least I don't think so. That, I guess, is a personal opinion, but since it's my opinion and it's my stuff, it's the only one that counts. All right, I gotta get this out of the way. There's some big pieces of wood here. This is a little bit larger chunk here that I'm paring out. So I'm trying to, where I wasn't using the chisel before, I kind of have to now. And I'm just cleaning up all the sides now. All right, I think we about got this done here. Let me just clean up all the extra wood in there. And I think these look pretty good. I need to pare this down. I think I can pare this now. Yeah. And then clean it up this way. There we go. All right. So these should all now be carved out. So the notches should be done. The bottoms are done. The tops fit. I'm just super ecstatic about all of that. I didn't do this one. I could have sworn I did all of these. I did not do this one. So I need to do this one as well. What time is it? 1:04. Good news. All right. Let me notch this and do the same here. And the reason I do this, I'm doing this side right here. Let's see if that's any better. So I'm kind of just carrying this notch line. So what I'm doing is I strike it along the side. I'm carrying this line right here all the way back to this edge. And that's where I'm just putting the chisel. And that way when I start to cut in, it's not going to chip out from this area. And I need to be careful it doesn't do that. So I'm establishing where the edge is by doing this first smack with the chisel. Just establishing where that edge is, and then I can kind of pare away that wood in between those two smacks right there. So I'm just kind of paring this away. Trying to use light chisel strikes here. Nothing big, and then I can kind of just break it away and then keep working my way down. Maple's pretty good about this. It's not chipping too much or anything. Not all wood is created equal when it comes to being chiseled on and such, so this is not too bad. Let me get down in here. But it's still, you know, and this is why I try to establish those edges, keep it all clean. And that way I can just kind of pare down to where it needs to be here. And there we go. Clean up the edges. Clean up this edge. All right, this one is done. And just need to do this side over here, which, I don't know, maybe easier over like this. There we go. I like having this little mat down here. It really does help kind of keep things stable. Okay, let's see here. Let's run this. Just gonna get a cut there at the bottom, just to establish that, so that when I go to chip this stuff away, it should just break away at the bottom there. And it is, for the most part, doing exactly what it should do. Let's clean it up. All right, just pairing off this last little bit, and that should be money. It is money. All right, that didn't work out too well, did it? It's like, you know, when you're cone shaped, it doesn't want to sit in the, it just wants to flip over. So, oh well, it can't have everything. All right, so what are we lacking on these now? Now that we fixed the top, which I'm so happy about, what we are missing now are two things. One, I still need to make the little inset, because if I'm going to sell these as combo boxes, which means they will fit either the short or the long bed, they need to have that little deck that fits in there for a short bed. And that way, it doesn't matter which machine you have, it'll fit both of them. Or if you have two of them and you want to switch out between them, you now have that option. So I like to provide that. So I need to make those little decks, which is cool because that actually, this does fit. I mean, I've tested it with the machine in here, and it's a pretty good fit. So if I make a couple more of these, I think that will be fine. I need to just sand the inside of this just a little bit. But if I make a couple of these, they will fit in here just fine like this. This gives me a rough guideline of how I want to do this, which is good. And so I need to make three of these, one for each machine, each base. And then I need to do the bottoms. The bottoms are pretty easy. All I have to do is measure the width, cut out pieces that are this long, cut them down to size, round the corners, and glue them in. So I have to do bottoms. I have to do the little bed extensions. The bed extensions I have to figure out, excuse me, I have to figure out what wood I'm going to make these out of. So I got to look at my scrap wood over here and figure out if these are going to be out of walnut or if these are going to be out of maple. I don't know that I have any maple to use for that. I'm trying to think if I've got some maple that I can use for those tops. And I might, actually, I have a piece. Let me show you this. Excuse me. Although it's, I don't know if I can get this flat. It's got a little curve to it. So this is a big flat piece of maple right here. And you can see on this side, oh look, it's half a guitar. I was planning on doing a maple top with this. I ended up using a different piece for it. I cut a thicker piece of maple to use for a maple cap or something. So I've got this piece. Problem is, maple does this over time. It's like, look, I don't know if you can see it. Look at that. It's kind of like a little warped. And even though it's thicker than what I need, I don't know if I can flatten this down. I might be able to. So I might take this and use this, which like I said is maple. It's not the curly or the tiger flamey maple before, but it is still, it's a very nice, lovely, it's kind of got some cool grain and stuff in here, and I can easily get 1, 2, 3, out of this. So I might use this to try to cut out three more tops, and yeah, this might work out. That'll get sanded down. And what I can do is, because they'll be thin, what I'll do is I'll take this and cut it this way. Okay, I'll just make it half as wide. I don't know if I can get, hang on a second. Let's do a little measuring here. This should be 7 inches, give or take. All right, 7 inches. I need 21 inches here. I got more than 21 inches. So I could get 3 of them out of this one side here, or out of the middle. They may be out of the middle, because that's kind of cool looking. So what I might do is cut this down to a thin strip that would be about, we'll just draw on this because we can. If I had a pencil, I could. So I need this to be about, yeah. Let me draw this side. All right, I need to cut a strip out of here that is about 3.5 inches wide. So if I get 3.5 inches out of the middle section, even though this has kind of got some warpage to it, if I get that, it's warped from this corner to this corner, but that it's a gradual all the way across. So if I take it out, it's not nearly as warped from this corner to this corner as it is from here to here, if that makes any sense. So if I cut this section out of the middle and I run it over my jointer and flatten it out, and then cut my pieces and then hand flatten the rest of it, like I did those tops the other day where I put them actually on the base and then use my plane, I think that actually would work. If it doesn't, I'll try something else, but I think that's what I'm going to go with. So these will be for the lids. And I think, looking over at my wood pile, I believe I have enough wood over there to do the bases. I should. The plywood I get comes from Home Depot. So I usually just buy a 2x4 sheet of 1/4 inch ply, like the Baltic birch plywood. It's like 15 bucks. And I can usually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 4 or 5 bases out of a sheet. So it's worth the $15 to pick it up there. But I might have enough over here that I don't need to go buy some more, because I only need 3. So yeah, we should be good. Speaking of being good, are you going to be good? Hell no, you're not going to be good. What is the deal with this thing? And somebody seriously tell me why my internet won't connect. I don't get it. So confusing. I've even tried like saying, forget this Wi-Fi, join this Wi-Fi, turn my Wi-Fi off. Okay, Wi-Fi is off, turn my Wi-Fi back on. It connects, it tries to connect, and then it just drops right off. So I don't know, because that's, like I said, it's kind of confusing. Anywho, we're at 1:15. I really don't have any place else to go with this stuff right now. I think we're at a good spot. I'm going to clean up the shop because there is confetti all over the place. So I'm going to clean up the shop, and then I'm going to spray a little lacquer in here, and maybe get some of this stuff ready to sell. That would be super, super awesome. Because like I said, once I spray the lacquer, I don't ship these things for about a week after they've been lacquered, because I wrap them in bubble wrap and stuff, and I need to make sure the lacquer is completely cured before I ship them out. I don't know what's going on with my voice right now. Got a little Mr. Froggy coming through. But anywho, let's go ahead and wrap for the day. I appreciate you all coming and watching if you were here. I didn't get any questions or anything, but that's okay. If you connecting to chat, why are you not, you are still on, right? Is my whole thing dead? My whole stream is dead? Are you freaking kidding me? Is my internet dead? What the hell? My internet died. Is my internet dead? Why is my stream not going? I don't, okay, I just recognized this. Okay, it says it's streaming, but am I streaming? Yeah, still streaming, still going. It's so weird. It's like nothing's showing up. Yeah, see, I'm waving. Hello. Is it showing up on my stream? It says live. I don't see it though. Where is it? It says live. Yeah, it's still there. Okay. All right, I don't know what's going on with the streams these days, but anywho, sorry, you get to see my hand for a long time. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day. So let me stick my head out here and say goodbye. And there we go. Hey, it's me. Goodbye. Is my laptop not connected anymore? I don't know what's going on here. This is all craziness, I'm telling you right now. It's just crazy. I'm trying to reconnect. My laptop doesn't want to connect. My, I don't know what's going on. This is strange. I hope I'm still connected and that you can still watch me. Is my phone still connected? My phone's still connected to the internets. Safari can't open page. This is so weird. Anyway, if you are still here, thank you for watching. Thank you for stopping by. I hope I didn't have too many technical difficulties. Better luck, Friday, I guess. Hopefully you were able to watch some of this. And Friday we'll tackle making some lids for these things, and we'll tackle the bottoms. And we'll push forward, and that's awesome that I have more stuff that I can get out the door. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy it. It's hump day. You're on your downslide to the weekend now. So have a great Thursday. I'll see you back here Friday at 11 o'clock. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. The addresses are like down there. You can see them. So anyway, have a great day. I will chat with you soon. And I have to find the right one here. See, that's why I need my buttons. Stream and